Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today we're going to talk about how to outsmart a narcissist. To outsmart a narcissist, we have to understand what they need to tick and what they need to survive, which is the narcissist supply. A narcissist will always want to feel superior and to be in control of every situation they are in, and they will go to great extents to ensure that this control is maintained. The default is, of course, to go no contact and to cut ties with them, but at times it may not be possible to fully go no contact with them because you may interact with them. Let's say if you are co-parenting with the NAC, or if you are working together, or if you are still in that relationship. That's where now we need to learn on ways or on things we can do so that we can outsmart them, because if you can't find ways to outsmart them, it will mean that they will keep tormenting you and undermining your worth and making your life miserable. A narcissist is difficult to deal with, but that doesn't mean that you cannot outwit them. They are inconsiderate and they only want to cater for their needs. And the thing is, you cannot outsmart the NAC if you still want to change them. You can only do it if you really want to keep yourself safe and you now understand what's within your scope of control, which is your actions and reactions. Like, you can only outsmart them when you understand what's within your control. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 7 ways in which you can outsmart a narcissist when you find yourself interacting with them, or when you find that you have to deal with them in one way or the other. So it's always good to be one step ahead of the game when you're interacting with a NAC. The first thing to do when you want to outsmart a NAC is don't react to their provocations. A narcissist will always try to provoke you so that they can get that emotional reaction from you. They enjoy provoking you because if you react, it means that they are still in control of you and they are still in control of how you feel. They also provoke you to weaken you and to open doors to further manipulation as they seek to supply their needs. So to outsmart a NAC, you've got to hide your emotional reactions when they provoke you or when they call you names. Like when they try to hurt you, when they try to call you names, just hide that emotional reaction from them. Like, just stand firm and be like a stone. You can keep those emotional reactions inside you, and then later on, when you're not interacting with them, you now find healthy ways to channel or to release those frustrations and anger. Something like journaling or punching a pillow. If an act constantly provokes you, do not react at that moment. Just you can react later on when they are not seeing, so that they cannot use it against you. You see, the thing is, the NAC wants to see you angry and frustrated so that they can label you as crazy, or so that they can tell people of your abusive nature. One other thing is also not to react to their false accusations or to the lies they might be peddling around in the form of a smear campaign. Just stay away and look at them as just plain lies. Do not try to argue out your truth or to clear a name. They thrive more in these environments because of their superficial charm and their persuasive nature. In short, do not show any emotions to their actions and behaviors. To them, it's a game. But you outsmart them by refusing to play or to take part in that game. Just distance yourself from their manipulation, from their provocations, and just stay away. That's how you will outsmart them. Because they cannot win when there are no participants. The second way to outsmart a narcissist is to be so boring, to the point that they are so disinterested in you that they choose to avoid you or they choose not to interact with you. You see, like, a narcissist feeds off drama and they love the thrill. They don't like the mundane, boring stuff, and they will do anything to escape the boredom. So if you are interacting with them, you may avoid sharing your personal experiences and interests and just share the mundane and boring news you can think of. It's more like presenting yourself as someone who's so boring that the narcissist that doesn't even want to be associated with, or that the narcissist doesn't even want to be seen talking to. It's more of like making it appear like you are living a very, very monotonous life that will bore the narcissist to death, and they will choose to end conversation with you because you are not exciting at all. The thing here is, it's just about showing them your boring side of life when you're interacting with them, and not drawing them by sharing with them the exciting things you are doing in your life. Just show them your boring side so that they can be like, this person is not even interesting for me, and I'd rather go somewhere else, or I'd rather just finish this conversation and interact with other people. Also, when you are interacting with them, you can keep your conversations short and respond briefly to any of their leading statements. You can say like, okay, thank you, something like that, just to keep the conversation so boring. The third way to outsmart a narc is to understand your triggers. You see, a narcissist will always exploit your weaknesses and your insecurities against you. And in the course of the relationship, you've come to understand how they exploit those insecurities to make you feel ashamed or afraid. And when they want to get something from you, they will always pull a certain card which makes you bow down to their demands and supply their needs. So to outsmart the narc, you've got to understand what buttons they constantly press to control you, or what buttons they press to manipulate you. Common triggers can be something like physical appearance, finances, past incidents, beliefs, parenting, or just anything that sparks an emotional reaction from you and can be used against you. So once you understand all your triggers, or all those buttons they constantly press, you can develop proper coping mechanisms you can use when they trigger you. This can be something like understanding that they are just using your triggers as a way to hurt you or to get something from you, and it doesn't have to get into your head. You can even go to the extent of like preparing in advance or planning your replies in advance so that you can use them when they poke you. Because it's more like, if you know that they will poke you by like ridiculing your parenting, you can just have a reply to that specific instance, so that when they talk about it, you just have like an automatic reply. Because the more you understand your triggers and how to cope in a healthy way, the more you will outsmart them and they will not catch you off guard. That's where healing comes in. Because true healing is getting to the point where you've dealt with all your triggers and you deeply understand that what someone uses against you is just a depiction of who they are and not a depiction of who you are. The fourth thing that will help you outsmart a narcissist is to stay away or be aware of enablers or mutual acquaintances or friends. You see, a narcissist never works alone, and they have these people who may abuse in proxy. These people may be unaware of what they are doing, or they may also be well aware of what they are doing for the narc. To outsmart them, you've got to be aware that they may use your loved ones to pass a message across, or they may use your loved ones to abuse you on their behalf. Limit communication with those people who ask so much about the narcissist, or just set healthy boundaries with them. Your mutual friends may also be passing information to the narcissist out of good faith. So you have to be careful on what you share with your mutual friends. This is because a narcissist will use every information they have about you just so that they can get into your head and mess you up. In short, if you have information about yourself which you'd rather not share with anyone, or which may make you vulnerable, just keep it to yourself or keep it away from your mutual friends. To outsmart them, you just have to be wary of the fact that those close to you may convince you to get back together, or maybe an indirect channel of communication between you and the narc. So just general awareness that the fact that you're not talking to the narc in person doesn't mean that you're not talking to them through other people, or doesn't mean that they're not getting information about you through other people. So it's just about that awareness. With that awareness, you will outsmart them. The fifth point is, to outsmart a narcissist, you've got to be aware of the Trojan horse. from the movie Troy. So here's how it goes. You see, a narcissist will use caring manipulation to get into your head. Once in a while, they may shower you with compliments or just pull a grand gesture that leaves a mark in that part of you which says, they still care about me. They may remember your important days like anniversaries, birthdays, or even send an expensive gift. This catches most people off guard, and it even reignites those feelings, and someone may even choose to reopen their doors as a form of reciprocation. To outsmart them, you've got to be aware of that Trojan horse and how they may sneak in by just caressing some part of your ego that craves to be loved and cared for. So there is a part of you or part of your ego which wants to be loved or wants to be cared for. So the narcissist will use gifts and all those compliments to caress that part. And that's why you've got to be aware that that may happen. So the same way you do not react to their negative remarks or the names they call you is the same thing you need to do when they make positive remarks about you. You see, if you fall for positive remarks or compliments from the narcissist, you will also fall for their negative remarks because it's coming from the same person. So when they bait you with a compliment or a gesture, just say, thank you, and stop there. Do not try to do something else. There is an intention in their every move. So even that positive remark there's just an intention behind it. That's why caring is their Trojan horse for them to get back into your life and then continue their abusive ways. So if you become so watchful of their every move, you will be far much ahead of the game. And you will even enjoy some free gifts without worrying about being indebted to them. Because something about giving someone a gift, someone will feel indebted or someone will feel the need to reciprocate. But if you know that this person is giving me gifts so that they can manipulate me later on, you'll just be enjoying the gifts and be like, thank you so much. You've been abusing me for a long time. So now let me just enjoy these gifts. But I'm not letting you back into my life. That's how you've outsmarted them. The sixth one is to set and enforce clear boundaries. Outsmarting a narcissist will never be successful when you do not understand your boundaries, which is what you are comfortable with and what you cannot tolerate. When you have healthy boundaries, you know your worth, and you'll be laughing at a distance when the narc tries to manipulate you. Boundaries will prevent you from being taken advantage of by the narc or from those people around you who are still siding with the narcissist. You will be able to walk away with ease without feeling guilty or feeling bad because you deeply understand what you value or your interest or what you stand for. Boundaries will also enable you to understand the things that are within your scope of control because most times you inflict more abuse on yourself by doing or being preoccupied with things that are beyond your scope of control. This can be something like what the narcissist do with their lives. You may try to compromise because of your caring nature, but when you have boundaries, you just deeply understand what's outside of you should not mess up with your well-being. You will not compromise on things you cannot stand for, even when the narc goes to the extreme heights of saying something like trying to kill themselves if you don't do something for them, because you deeply understand your limits. So when you have boundaries and you enforce those boundaries, you will outsmart them because they cannot cross what you cannot stand for. They cannot cross what you cannot tolerate. So you'll just be safe from them. The last thing you have to do so that you can outsmart the narc is to become self-reliant. This is more about being independent and avoiding your reliance on the narc in every possible way. You see, a narcissist thrives by making you reliant on them, either spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially, intellectually, or just any way in life. The more you rely on them, the more they can do as they wish because they control what you need. The most common reliance that holds people back when they are in a relationship with a narc is, of course, financial dependence. So, if you are dependent on them financially, it may be hard to pull out of that grip because they will sway you with money, or they will also sway you with promises of money. So, if you are in this situation and you are still physically capable, then it's time to look for a side job or just save up a little for yourself and secretly start building that business. You may also start studying or doing that degree on the side, or just plan a way that will provide you with a long-term solution which will help you to be financially independent. Even if they are so stingy with money, what you do is you can at times exaggerate, as I said in the past, you can exaggerate the price of groceries and just save it up, because financial independence is more like long-term. Because one thing we need to be sure of is, if you are co-parenting with a narc, they will always frustrate you financially. Even if you've left the relationship and you have an arrangement, always strive to get to the point where you can fend for yourself and your kids without having to depend on them or to constantly tussle with them when it comes to child support. Even if you have a legal arrangement, of course, they'll always frustrate you. So what you do is just strive to the point where that you don't even need a shilling from them. And you can just fend for your kids and for yourself without even needing any financial assistance from them. You can also seek alternative sources of dependence as a stopgap measure when you are still finding your own self-reliance. For example, you can ask your siblings or friends for money where possible, or you can as well seek advice or companionship from other people instead of the narc. Because I've seen other people saying that I want them as a friend because they usually give me this advice. No, what you can do to outsmart them, you've now got to shift that advice you were seeking from the narc to another person as a stopgap measure. This is not a permanent measure, it's just a stopgap measure when you are still trying to find your own self-reliance. It's just about slowly breaking away from being dependent on them in every way possible as you seek your own autonomy. And when a narcissist has less or no influence in your life, you've just outsmarted them because there is nothing they can use to control you, because you are so independent. Outsmarting the narcissist is not an easy thing to do if you've not begun your healing journey. This is because when you've not healed, you are still trauma bonded and you are operating with your tainted emotions. As you heal, you will gain more confidence in yourself and you will deeply understand that you deserve a better life. So the key to outsmarting them is you being the kind of person that can see them for who they are and not who they were. And if you have to interact with them, understanding ways or techniques you can do or what you can do to outsmart them will just lessen the damage of their abusive ways. But it will not protect you fully because you are still hurting on the inside. That's why you've got to heal to the point where you are so fully self-reliant and you understand that what other people do or what other people say about you is not a reflection of who you are. So to conclude this, you should heal your wounds and the narc will no longer be a threat in your life because you are deeply secure and no one can use the past or your weaknesses or your insecurities against you. That's it from me today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe, share, and comment.